everyone, and welcome to Season 1, Episode 19 of Pro Wrestling's Top 50. I'm your host, Travis McNeil, and today we continue our countdown of the top 50 matches of 2020 with match number 32 on our list, which is the contest between Nolan Edward and Danny Maff from the ICW No Holds Barred Pitfighter X3 event held back on November the 6th. I will give a disclaimer right off the hop that this match is not for everybody. It is very brutal, it is very uncomfortable, and it's a match that stuck with me for quite a bit after I initially watched it, to the point I actually thought that I wouldn't watch it again, but then when this project came around, I did give it another look and felt the same way that I did initially about it the second time, and it makes it a worthwhile inclusion on this list. Essentially, Nolan Edward has been one of the breakout stars of ICW No Holds Barred. This was his second appearance with the company, and after leaving an impression, the first one with his moniker of No Flinch, basically in that he will take hits, not flinch, and keep fighting back. He put out the No Flinch Open Challenge. So going into the show, you didn't know who would accept it. It was accepted by Dan Maff, making his return to ICW, which was a promotion that he had been a long-time star in throughout the years. It also, he gives a really strange post-match promo where he almost makes it look too that he's no longer going to be in Ring of Honor. He signed a contract with them at the end of 2019, start of 2020, and he kind of had some unsavory comments that, although he didn't out and out say was about ROH, it kind of gave that impression. And as of the time of this video, he hasn't been seen again since, in ROH's pandemic shows. So I don't know what the deal is there. It was a little strange though. Anyways, with this being No Flinch Open Challenge, Nolan Edward immediately dares Danny Maff to slap him, which Maff does right to the ear, drops him. Absolutely brutal and vicious way to start. Maff makes, wastes no time in punishing this poor young kid, just stiffing him to an ungodly level. At one point, he does just a brutal double back chop, and if you've heard wrestlers talk about it, a back chop is really just, it's hard to take, it's unnecessary, people hate them. So again, just show that disrespect that Maff had for this kid. He whips a chair at his head, which was just disgusting and reckless and brutal. He gives Nolan Edward a power bomb through a door which was leaning up the cage. I should explain the Pitfighter X concept. So it's basically ICW taking their normal no holds barred concept, which I mentioned in a previous video, but they do it in like an octagon UFC style cage. So it's a little bit of a different atmosphere. So Maff goes to give him a power bomb into a door that's leaning against the cage, but he kind of misses it, and Edward scrapes the side of his head off the edge of the door. It was completely disgusting and brutal. One of the most brutal spots I saw all year. He ups it even more. He gives Edward a gorilla press slam over the top of the cage, through a door that was covered in barbed wire on some chairs on the floor. He then proceeds to throw him gorilla press style into the wall, which, was a classic The Hit Squad Jersey All-Pro thing that, was viral before there was even videos going viral back in the early 2000s, if you were an indie fan like myself. He throws Nolan Edward through an open window, which basically looked awesome. It just sent him into the darkness outside. So you have no idea what was out there or where he landed. Then they put in the camera and you see he's kind of lying in an outside field. But the kid crawls his way back in. And that's the story they establish here. Just Nolan Edward, not flinching, never saying die, and keep continuing to bring the fight. There's a spot where Maff, says to him, "What's wrong with you?" And Nolan Edward says everything and keeps fighting. Eventually, Nolan Edward makes this kind of a cool little, almost like a fluke comeback where he manages to fling the door open and it hits Maff, It lets him take over, but it's only for a moment because he, hits him over the head with a piece of broken door. Maff's head like stays there through the hole in the door, which kind of looked like, Jack Nicholson in The Shining. And then Maff proceeds to break the door over his own, traps. And then takes a piece of broken door and just completely obliterates Nolan with it, hits him over and over and over again. There's a spot where Nolan Edward basically, is begging, Maff to continue, and Maff says, if this continues, I'm going to have to F you up. And Nolan Edwards says, well, you're going to have to F me up then, which again just came across, really well and delusional and kind of cool. Maff goes for a big spear through a door, misses, crashes through the door, breaks it into a million pieces. Nolan Edward then hit a double stomp with a chair, and it was a really good, hope spot near fall where it maybe looked like the kid was going to pull it off. From there, though, the finish is really cool where he just, he tries to throw forearms at Maff and very, Tomohiro Ishii-like. Maff, walks into the forearms and basically, tells the kid to keep going and keep going harder. And then finally he tells him to stop, and he calms Nolan Edward down and basically says he's going to finish it. He drops him with a disgustingly stiff forearm, hits a half Nelson suplex. Nolan Edward tries to do the fighting spirit, out from it, but clearly, the lights are off and no one's home, and Danny Maff finishes him with a burning hammer onto a guardrail, which was just gross. Again, different match, almost kind of a squash, but it told this story of this kid, never saying die. I'm not the safety police when it comes to pro wrestling. I think, competitors can make their own decisions, but it was a little alarming that Nolan Edwards, this quickly into his young career is taking beatings like this. The longevity of his career will be interesting to see how it pans out. But as a one-off, I thought this match was quite the spectacle. Like I said, it's like one of those uncomfortable movies you'll watch where when it's done, you kind of feel a little dirty and grimy, and you think, why did I watch that? And it sits with you for quite some time, and it's unsettling, but it's an experience that you went through. And that's what this match was. It was an experience that I went through twice. And I said it the first time, and I'll say it again the second time. I don't know if I'll ever go through it again, but for what it was really something memorable. This match can be seen on IWTV, like all ICW No Holds Barred events. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel here, like and comment on the video, let me know what you think. Follow on Instagram and Twitter at Wrestling50, and we'll see y'all again tomorrow as we continue to count down pro wrestling's top